Hey guys, let's get more news about Warriors, but first, don't forget to subscribe and leave your like. Player grades: Warriors vs Blazers, Buddy Hield and Andrew Wiggins shine. At long last, the 2024-25 NBA season has arrived. And the Golden State Warriors have welcomed the season back in style, crushing the Portland Trail Blazers 139-104 on Wednesday night in a game that, save for the first quarter, was never competitive. Which means it's time to bring back the segment that perhaps angers the Golden State of Mind community more than all others, combined. Player grades. For most games, you can check back here to find grades for every player on the Warriors. But here's the mandatory caveat that I'll repeat every time: grades are based on my expectation for each player individually. A B grade represents the average performance for that player. In other words, if Steph Curry gets a B and Gue Santos gets an A, it doesn't mean that Santos played better. It just means that he played better relative to my expectations. Anyway, let's get into it. Green looked like he'll have a good season, but there was a fair amount of rust in the first game. His 3 turnovers in just 20 minutes came largely from plays where he read something well, but tried to squeeze the ball into a lane that wasn't there, and simply forced the issue a little. Those games happen, as Brock Purdy can attest to. But the court vision was there, the blend of quarterbacking and attacking was there, and the strong defense was there. However, it could have been a much worse night for him, as some refs might have given him a second technical foul in the second quarter, resulting in an ejection. You could see the vision and you could see the concerns. Steve Kerr opted for a large starting lineup, putting Kuminga at the 3, despite spending so much time insisting that JK was 4. And you could see why Kerr has felt that way. Kuminga didn't make a 3, and wasn't really spreading the floor. He was erratic and out of control on many possessions, and didn't have a very good game defensively while guarding perimeter-oriented players. But the offense still seemed to function well with him on the court, and he helped the team push in transition time after time again. His athleticism was on display in earning 6 free throws, and truthfully it could have been more. It wasn't a good game for Kuminga, but it's still clear why Kerr, and I, think that starting JK gives the Warriors the best chance to win. 25 under 25, Jonathan Kuminga is blossoming at the perfect time. Klay Thompson is now a proud Texan and the Golden State Warriors, as we've known them for the past decade, are dead. That doesn't mean the Warriors themselves are dead. Steph Curry remains an indomitable force and Steve Kerr is a top-tier NBA coach, but the Warriors' dynasty has dissipated. As Golden State enters the 2024-25 season with a different feel, different roster, and different set of expectations than it has gotten used to, a 22-year-old Jonathan Kuminga comes front and center to help usher in, and maybe lead, the era of Warriors basketball that follows the most dominant run in franchise history. No pressure, Jonathan. In his 3rd NBA season, Kuminga came into his own. He was no longer getting minutes for the sake of his development, he was getting consistent minutes because of his production. Kuminga averaged 16.1 points in 2023-24, a 6.2-point increase from his sophomore campaign. The funny part about scouting players like Jonathan Kuminga is that, before they get to the NBA, they're viewed as projects, and everyone agrees it will take a few years before they figure out the NBA game. But then they get to the NBA, and everyone freaks out when they don't turn into stars immediately. Kuminga, in year 3, proved he is still right on schedule. Kuminga played 1 season for G League Ignite instead of attending college. During that short stint with GLI, the 6'8" forward had plenty of show-stopping moments where he flashed the bounce, ball handling and strength that would eventually make him a lottery pick, but also had moments that made it clear he would enter the NBA with a mostly undeveloped offensive game. The rawness didn't scare away Golden State, which possessed the 7th overall pick in that draft thanks to the Andrew Wiggins trade with Minnesota, and the Warriors selected Kuminga, ready to buckle down for a few developmental years. that patience paid off. Golden State deserves props for how it brought along Kuminga. It sprinkled him in the lineup in his first 2 seasons, letting him play alongside elite NBA talent and hoping he'd start to understand the game better thanks to the exposure. That plan appears to have worked to perfection, as Kuminga looked confident in year 3 with an expanded role. Kuminga knows what he's good at, and that's being aggressive toward the hoop. Nearly 70% of his shots came within 10 feet of the basket, and he shot 74.9% at the hoop, where he often got to with a surprising burst off the dribble for someone who is 6'8". He's a weapon in the open floor, using long strides and body control to force his way inside where he's flexible and agile enough to finish consistently. He's the type of player that, if you saw him playing in an open gym, you'd probably think he's the best basketball player alive. Size, burst, strength, agility, and power don't combine like this very often. Kuminga's mix of strength and twitchiness is a big reason he had so many fans in NBA scouting departments, and he's turning those traits into production at the highest level. He also cuts well, and being on a team with Draymond Green and Steph Curry is an important skill to possess. He bursts through lanes when defenses are preoccupied with number 30, often finding himself open under the basket. He also has the audacity to attempt dunks from areas where most other players wouldn't dare. The outside shot remains a work in progress, as the Warriors knew it would be when the franchise drafted Kuminga. It's not unusable at the moment. Kuminga is a 34.1% three-point shooter in his 3-year career, though his volume has stayed low the whole time, never shooting more than 2.2 attempts per game. Warriors trade pitch lands Giannis Antetekounmpo for Big Haul. The chatter of Giannis Antetekounmpo potentially asking out of the Milwaukee Bucks grew louder entering the 2024-25 season, especially in light of Chris Middleton's injuries and Damian Lillard's fading superstardom. On the October 22 episode of ESPN's First Take, insiders Brian Windhorst and Shams Charania noted that Antetokounmpo's future in Milwaukee was the biggest storyline and the talking point among executives in the NBA. In light of the reports, Fadeaway World has proposed a trade that would send Antetokounmpo to the Warriors in exchange for a large haul including Golden State's prized young assets Jonathan Kuminga and Brandon Podziemski. Warriors would get Antetokounmpo, Bucks would get Kuminga, Podziemski, Andrew Wiggins, Tracy Jackson-Davis, 2027 first-round pick, 2029 first-round pick. According to Charania, teams around the league are very closely monitoring how Antetokounmpo's situation unfolds in Milwaukee. Windhorst said he had heard similar murmurs. When Shams and I are talking to people in the league, this is what they're talking about, Windhorst said on First Take on October 22. They're talking about what's going to happen with Giannis. What's going to happen with the Bucks? How are the Bucks going to be this year? Are they going to be good enough where Giannis is going to stay committed? Antetokounmpo brought about the chatter himself when he teased that he could get moved if the 2024-25 campaign doesn't go to plan. In an interview with The Athletic, Sam Amick, Antetokounmpo jokingly said, "What, if this year doesn't go well? Yeah, if we don't win a championship, I might get traded. Yeah, this is the job we live. This is the world we're living in. It's everybody. And you, fan? What do you think of the situation of Giannis Antetokounmpo? Leave your opinion in the comments.